I know you teach this idea of a woman challenging a man, and that also ties into the product that we will share a little bit more about. But one of the questions that came in, I think, kind of goes along with this. And the woman said, how do I teach a man to value me? And so I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And then kind of maybe you can tie that in a little bit with this idea that you teach about challenging a man.
For sure. So first of all, I want to tell you that I will always respond with my personal philosophy. I could be right, I could be wrong, we can debate. For me, I'm really open to it. And I talk about challenging because what I see was women was a challenge, men was in love. When they start to be involved, when they start to give, men start to do nothing and take the relationship for granted. So my idea and my philosophy was to say, and it's still to say, if we can make the attraction longer, if we can make men fight longer for you, then you will never end up with a breakup, with a man that doesn't know what he wants, doesn't know if he wants to commit, because in his mind will be focused on what can I do for her? And to answer the question, which is, how can I teach a man to value me? I want to say, I'm not sure it's possible. Because every time we want to teach someone, we will do the action. So we will do the job. So I want to tell you, ladies, that I'm a big fan of being distant. When a man will understand that you don't fight for his attention, you don't need him, you have goals and you have projection for your personal goals and futures, that's when he wants to come to you and he will value you. So I want to say that men, we are a little bit stupid because we value a woman that is a challenge. We value a woman that is enjoying her life. We value a woman that will be kind of very independent. In the meantime, we fight for that. But when you try to teach us something, because we get your attention, we will not care. You can talk to men a lot. You can talk to men for hours. They will never care. But the moment you start to be distant, they will listen to you. So I would say it's a mix of being distant, valuing communication, because it's not just about playing a game, but making sure that if you try to do something, you're almost lost because you will give attention, you will give love. And that would not be my philosophy. I don't know what you think of that, Michelle.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting philosophy, and I think it does have some validity. There's a few nuances I'd like to dance with you on,
Sure,
if we can.
I love it.
So first of all, when I first read this question, the first thought that came to my mind was it comes down to her valuing herself. It's not so much about, and that goes along with what you just said, it's not so much about teaching a man to value her. It's her first valuing herself, because when a woman truly values herself, this is a really important tenet of my work, is helping women to really get centered in their own intrinsic value and recognize that does not come based on what is or isn't happening with any man out there. It's her own intrinsic value. So when she's really centered in that, she navigates the world of dating and interactions differently, more from that place of confidence, more from that place of being comfortable in her own skin, more from that place of having a life that's fulfilling. So that automatically kind of puts her in that zone that you're talking about, where she is likely to be more of a challenge, because her focus is on living a great life, enjoying her life, pursuing the things that are important to her. And then the man that comes into her life is more like that whipped cream and cherry on top, rather than the whole thing that she's going to put all of her attention and focus on. So that's one thing. But a nuance I want to just kind of explore with you here a little bit is, it feels to me, Alex, that there's still a place in this what we might call a high value woman way of showing up. It feels like there's still a place for warmth and giving a man a bit of encouragement without completely like going all in, putting all your focus and attention there. So to me, it feels a little bit nuanced in terms of, yes, you want to be a challenge, but I also feel like there's a place for some warmth. If you really like this person and you really think you might like to get to know them better, it feels like there's still a place for some warmth and some encouragement while still staying balanced without going all in and over functioning and over giving. What are your thoughts about that?
I do agree with you, because I just talk just very fast about the communication. But if you want a man to value you, you will have to assert yourself. You will have to explain, what do you expect? What is important for you? What is important for him as well? So it's exactly what you mentioned. It's just the distance is one tool, but it cannot be the solution, because we will not be distant all of our life. There is a moment we need to bond. We need to communicate. We need to find some solutions. So it's exactly what you mentioned, where, first of all, it needs to start with ourselves. Every time we try to find a solution outside of ourselves, we are losing. We are losing because we don't do the work for us. So it's not becoming a challenge for a guy. It's also, how can you regain your self-value so you know what is worth? You know what you're worth. Sorry. And so to just rebound on what you were saying, I think that there is a moment, women, if you want a man to value you, he needs to know what you expect from a relationship, what you expect from him, without being too needy or too, I would say, difficult, too hard on him. But he needs to know that you're okay for sharing what is important for you. And first of all, you need to discover that, because I've coached so many women, when I ask them, what do you expect from a man? I don't know. I want a good man. But what is it exactly? Let's try to dive into it. And I found that they don't know. And so if you don't know what you want, if you don't know your value, how can you expect a man to value you? I think that's very important, Michelle.
It's absolutely so important. And what you just said there is so true. A lot of times when we're exploring with our clients what they'd like to have in a man or in a relationship, it's kind of vague. They have a hard time really articulating that. And it's like, I think for a lot of women, a couple of things might happen. One is, I think if we have become accustomed to kind of dismissing our wants or our needs or putting ourselves further down on the priority list, sometimes there can be a disconnect between our wants and needs. We're no longer really that in touch with them. So I think that's really important for a woman. And then I think a lot of times a woman is reticent or scared to share or ask for what she wants or needs because she's afraid of rejection or disappointment, that the man won't provide that or won't be willing to provide that. But I also believe that that is an important aspect of a healthy relationship. And I've interviewed a lot of men over the years because I've done like these big man panel events. And so I've interviewed literally hundreds of men over the years. And Alex, you can probably back me up on this. I've had a lot of men say, please tell them to tell us what they want, because we're not mind readers and we're not good guessers. And so it's like, somehow in some women's minds also it feels less romantic to actually ask for what they want or need. But like, you know, just to give a quick example, my husband and I, when we got married, we talked about this and said, you know, we're never going to be one of those couples that's mad because one or the other forgot the anniversary or didn't do the right thing for Valentine's Day or a birthday or whatever, because we're going to talk about it and we're going to plan. So, you know, every year we'll have a conversation and say, hey, let's talk about Valentine's Day and what we'd like to do this year. Or, you know, let's talk about this anniversary and what we'd like to plan for this year. So then we get to both be happy and no one's upset or no one's mad. We like kind of co-create what we want to have happen for those holidays. And maybe for some people that feels less romantic, but that's worked out really, really well for us to have that kind of communication.
I think that you nailed it. You know, when we can communicate and find exactly what is important for both of us, we can only have success. The one thing I would like to mention is I coach women that will share what they want, what they need a couple of times, and the men will never listen. So just for that, I would say just be careful, ladies. If you feel that your communication is not working, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe you need to start being distant and let him come and fight for you, because I'm always scared that we do a lot and we don't receive much. So that would be one thing that I see every day. So I would like to mention this idea that with Michelle, with your husband, with my wife, with the people we coach and they have success, I think that we also find someone that is willing to put the effort. And I've seen so many relationships in today's world where men especially, they will take the relationship for a game, and that's not good. I don't know if you see that a lot, if it's something that you will see often in your practice, Michelle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why a woman wants to wait to see how a man is showing up over a period of time before she goes all in. Because I believe a man that's really interested in having a relationship with a woman, not like just a one night stand or, a notch on the belt or whatever, is going to be willing to put in some effort, energy, attention, intention to get to know her, to spend time with her, to likely pay attention to what she's asking for, and wanting to provide that when he can. There may be a conversation or there may be something he can't provide, but he's going to care about it. It's going to matter to him if she matters to him.
Yeah.
And so if a woman is allowing for that process to take place, for her to give herself some time to see how a man is showing up over a period of time, she's going to have a better understanding or gauge. And one thing that I feel concerned about that I want to emphasize is I don't feel like we're talking about game playing here. Like we're not trying to out-strategize someone or game playing here. We're just talking about what really seems to work in the vast majority of cases that we see out there, and some of the pitfalls that can come along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the human nature. If you talk to a man and he's not changing his behavior, just by becoming a little bit distant, you let him come to you, let him hear you, because some people can take you for granted just because you communicate. So it's not about game, it's about human nature. When we are a little bit challenged, especially as men, we want to do good, we want to do better. And that's why I'm trying to teach every day.